Today we will be making a self-portrait inspired by the artist Frida Kahlo. Frida Kahlo was a Mexican artist who got into a traffic accident at age 18. She suffered from physical and emotional pain throughout her life. Frida painted to express herself. She painted 55 self-portraits. She liked to include flowers, animals, and plants from her home, and often wore authentic Mexican clothing. For our project today, we will be using oil pastels. I'll be using a pencil, a self-portrait, a piece of paper, and then I also have construction paper to put it on later. I'm going to start by coloring the back side of my paper, my self-portrait, with pencil. I'm trying to get kind of an even coat of lead on the back of my paper, and I'm holding my pencil very sideways so that I can get as much of the lead on there as possible. This works better with number 2 pencils as opposed to like mechanical pencils, although it can be done with mechanical pencils as well. I'm using this method to transfer my face to this other piece of paper. So this is one way you can use to transfer an image from one paper to the next. I'm going to use just a little piece of tape at the top of my self-portrait to attach it to my big white paper. And I'm just going to trace over the lines of my face. And I'm going to try to be very careful with this. I'm pushing down kind of hard with my pencil, and I'm trying to make sure that I'm getting all of the different lines of my hair, my clothes, and then of course of my face. So I want to make sure to do the outline of my face, doing my chin, all the way up around my face to where my hairline meets my skin. And then I'm also including some of the main lines of my hair. I'm going to make sure to take my time on my mouth. I really want to focus on those corners of my smile. I'm drawing the lines for my lips. And then it's really up to you if you do the lines of your teeth. Sometimes teeth lines can be pretty harsh. So instead of actually drawing my teeth, I'll just do like a little bit of detail of like where my gums would be. My nose, I'm going to add just an area where it's a little bit darker. Tracing the outlines of my eyes. I'm also making sure to include the lid above my eyes and then my eyebrows. Doing the smile lines on the sides of my face. And then like I said, I'm just going to do the gums, but I'm not actually going to draw lines in between my teeth. All right. Now, as you're working on this, you can be checking to see how it's looking and how your lines look by just lifting it up. I know it's hard to see in my video, but I'm checking to see, and it looks like my lines are there. Next, I'm tracing back over my lines on my paper to make sure that I can see them now because they are very light. And at this point too, if you need to make any changes, you can. Like I'm changing the collar of my shirt a little bit. I'm kind of helping my hair flow a little bit better. So anything that you want to change, now's the time to do it. I'm just kind of trying to get nice hair in there. I'm also adding shoulders because I didn't have that in my picture. Now, up on the top here, I'm going to add some flowers to my hair. A lot of times in Frida Kahlo's portraits, she would get flowers and put them in like as a headband or almost looking like a crown in her hair. So sunflowers are my favorite kind of flower. I wanted to add those in my hair. Now, if you do not want flowers in your hair, you could just put leaves or some kind of plant, or you could leave your hair blank. There are times where she doesn't have anything in her hair either. I'm going to go ahead and add flowers and flower petals. Usually when adding things like this to your head, it's important to work in odd numbers. So notice I have 3 flowers. That would work better than 2. I'm trying to work in an odd numbers. If you want to, you can mix and match flowers. Like let's say I loved roses as well. I could do 2 sunflowers and a rose, but usually groups of 3 are preferred. I'm erasing some of the lines where they overlap. I'm adding some leaf shapes to the sides. And it's giving me kind of this sunflower crown. Next, I want to think about the sides here. Now, Frida loved to put animals in her portrait. She's often seen with monkeys or cats or birds, all kinds of different animals that were either in her garden, at her home, or animals that she liked. So I was thinking about what kind of animal I could put in mine, and I actually just got a new pet guinea pig. So I thought I would draw my guinea pig in on one side, on my shoulder here. My guinea pig's name is Hershey. She is adorable. She's still a baby, so she's pretty small. So I'm going to go ahead and draw this little guinea pig over one shoulder because that is a pet that is special to me. And then on my other side, I also have had some betta fish, and I just think they are so pretty. So I know it's really weird to have betta fish swimming above my shoulder, but you know, this is kind of a surreal work of art, so it's okay to do stuff that doesn't totally make sense. So I decided to have a floating betta fish here, and then I thought it might be fun to kind of throw another one up here as well. So think of an animal. If you don't have a pet, you could always do an animal that is special to you, or maybe your favorite kind of animal. It could be exotic, or it could just be kind of like a pet kind of animal. It's really up to you. Now, in the rest of the picture, I'm going to include some kind of plants that are special to me as well. So I was thinking of plants that I like, and the first thing I thought of was that I grew up in Arizona, and I absolutely love the look of cactus. So I'm going to add a couple different cacti to my picture, some long skinny ones. I'm going to do a barrel cactus over here, which is like those round ones. Maybe I'll add some saguaros in the background too, kind of hanging out on some mountains. So I'll throw a line in here that looks kind of like a mountain line, and then we'll add some cacti in there as well. So any kind of plant that really speaks to you. She loved including plants in her portraits as well. She had lots of fun tropical type or desert type plants down in Mexico that she would include in her paintings as well. All right, time to add some color. So I'm using oil pastels for this, and I'm going to start off by coloring my skin. And when using oil pastels, I'm pushing pretty hard because I want the color to be really nice and vibrant. And I know these are actually pretty fat pastels, so it will be kind of hard to get into a lot of detail, but I'm just going to do my best. If you need to, you can kind of hold it at an angle, so you're just using the edge of the pastel. I've also flipped it over and used the back because that edge might be a little bit sharper for some of my more detailed stuff. Now, when I'm doing oil pastels, I usually try to layer my colors. So I'm starting off with one color, filling up all of the areas where my skin is, and then after that, I'll think of ways where I can use other colors to layer on top to add light or dark or different shading values. just different elements to give it a little bit more of a fancy look. So on this skin tone color, I'm going to go ahead and fill in the face and fill in the neck, and then I will use another shade to lighten areas and then another shade to darken areas. So I'm kind of paying attention to where my lights and darks are as I'm working on this and thinking, what can I lighten? What can I darken? So I've got this lighter color that I'm using on my cheeks, like the top parts of my cheekbones, because those are usually light. There's a little bit of light on the edge of my nose, a little bit of light on my chin. And you could even use just plain white for this. Push really hard, layer it right on top of the previous color. I'm going to lighten up areas of my forehead just to give it a little bit more interest. Then I'm going to use some brown to darken some areas. So usually the edges of the face are a little bit darker just because they're not getting quite as much light if your light's coming face on. So I'm just kind of adding a little bit of brown to those edges. Usually there's a shadow under the nose, so I'm going to darken that area a little bit with some brown. Usually there's a shadow kind of under where the eyebrows are, so I'll darken that with a little bit of brown as well. Just anything that can kind of add some value, so the lights and the darks to my picture. You can always go back in with your original color and color over it to blend them together. I'm also going to add some darks under my chin on my neck because that area would also have a darker shaded area because it would be in shadow under my face. So I'll just use a little bit of brown mixed with the skin color to darken underneath my chin. Now I'm going to go ahead and add some color elsewhere on my head. So you can color in the eyes, the hair, the lips, pretty much any other parts of your body that you would like to color. And the same way I did my face, I'm going to do the other areas as well. So always filling it with a solid color first and then going in and adding lights and darks to give it extra values. You can see I've gone in and added some brown to my hair just to help with some of those lines, especially to kind of show where that movement is in the hair. And now I'm trying to get this red pastel thin enough to get me some bright red lips. So Frida usually had some bright makeup on in her portraits, not always, but there are some that have the bright red lips and even the rosy cheeks I could have done. So I thought it would be fun just to go bright red on the lips. If you are a boy doing this, obviously you would not want to do that. A lot of times with regular lips, you could use the same color as the skin and then just add a slight amount of pink or even brown to the lips, and that will give them kind of a regular lip tone. I'm going to go ahead and add my eye color in, which is blue. And again, it's hard to get some of these tiny details with my fat oil pastels. So I'm just trying to do my best to get in there with the thicker pastels. When making eyes, I like to try to leave a little bit of white in the center of the eyes so that it looks like the light is highlighting inside of the eye as they're looking. It just kind of brings the portrait more to life. I'm going to continue working on the portrait, adding in all kinds of other elements like flowers and the background by coloring nice and hard with my pastels. Alright, so another little trick I wanted to share is I added some green to these cacti using the light and dark, and now I'm actually going over it with cream. This kind of makes it a little bit more of a subtle movement from one color to the next and kind of helps blend in the background. You can see I've sped up my video a little bit just to show you quickly what I am doing to create some of the background textures and colors. I decided to go a little bit bold with my mountain color, and instead of going with brown, I went with purple. Sometimes the mountains can look purple right before like the sunset or early in the morning after the sun rises. The same thing that I did with the cactus, I am going to do with the mountains. So I'll take like a light blue and just color over the purple, and that will kind of give it more of a creamy color. It'll blend kind of the areas a little bit better and make it so that it kind of sits back in the background a little bit more. It's not quite such a bold color. I'm going to go ahead and color my sky the same light blue color, just trying to fill in the rest. And you can see I have gone ahead and added back the rest of the sky, the fish, the other cactus, and my cute little guinea pig looking over my shoulder. I'm adding some color on my shirt now just to get that area filled in. If you wanted to add some kind of neat pattern or design on your clothing to tell me a little bit more about yourself, you could definitely do that. I've added a couple more face details too, just with my brown to make sure like my eyes stand out enough. I thought I would maybe make my earrings match my shirt, so I'm going to go ahead and make those that same dark turquoise color. Turquoise is my favorite color, so I had to use that on my clothing. I'm going to use a little bit of black inside of my eyes. And you can kind of brush off all that extra of the pastel. So you can see the entire picture from top to bottom of my Frida Kahlo inspired self-portrait. Thanks guys, hope you enjoyed this one. See you next time.